You know what doesn't belong in your epic summer plans? Getting burned by your old wireless bill. While you're planning beach trips, barbecues, and 3-day weekends, your wireless bill should be the last thing holding you back. That's why so many people are making the switch to Mint Mobile.
Say hasta la vista to your overpriced wireless plans, jaw-dropping monthly bills, and unexpected overages. Mint Mobile is here to rescue you.
All plans come with high-speed data and unlimited talk and text delivered on the nation's largest 5G network.
Use your own phone with any Mint Mobile plan and bring your phone number along with all your existing contacts.
Ditch overpriced wireless and get 3 months of premium service from Mint Mobile for $15. Amy, didn't you say that your sister is on Mint Mobile and loves it?
Yes, it was the best option for her when she finally got her own mobile wireless plan.
Honestly, I think that it might be the best option for anyone who needs their own mobile wireless plan. It sounds amazing.
This year, skip breaking a sweat and breaking the bank. Get your summer savings and shop premium wireless plans at mintmobile.com/booktalk. That's mintmobile.com/BOOKTALK.
Upfront payment of $45 for 3 months. 5 gigabyte plan required, equivalent to $15 a month. New customer offer for first 3 months only. Then full price plan options available. Tax and fees extra. See Mint Mobile for details.
USAA knows dynamic duos can save the day, like superheroes and sidekicks, or auto and home insurance. With USAA, you can bundle your auto and home and save up to 10%. Learn more and get a quote at USAA.com/bundle. Restrictions apply.
Ah, Smart Water, now in a sleek can.
This feels cool, literally.
Perfect for social gatherings and on the go.
Should I start wearing turtlenecks?
One sip at a time, friend. Smart Water cans, for those with a taste for taste. Get yours today.
Welcome to Book Talk for Book Talk with Jac and Amy, a literary podcast where we deep dive into the writings of your favorite novels. We've recently finished hosting our spring book club and are gearing up for our 10-part literary analysis of Sarah J. Maas's Crown of Midnight. This is Jac.
And I'm Amy. And today we have a special mini episode where we're discussing writing-related questions submitted by our listeners.
All right, a few things about this special episode that the listener should know. 1, most importantly, we were at Santa Barbara drinking yesterday for Amy's birthday. Day drinking all day. We are wiped. You drank a lot.
I drank so much. I never want to look at wine again.
At a certain point, I was just like, where did your wine come from? Because we were all going to the same amount of places and we were all doing the same amount of stuff. But then at the end, you started telling us how everyone was giving you their wine for you to drink.
At the first wine bar, Sarah didn't drink her full glass of white wine. It was upset. Her stomach was upset. So I drank that. Marissa didn't finish her last flight of champagne because she didn't like it. So I finished that.
That's already so much more.
And then it devolved from there.
There's a really funny photo of in Santa Barbara, because we took the train up from LA to Santa Barbara and we were waiting for the train. The Santa Barbara train station's gorgeous. It's outdoors. It's beautiful. There's a really funny photo of us sitting on the floor and you're trying to get my sunglasses out of my hair. Untangled.
Oh,
it's really cute. I might actually just post it. It was really funny. I just was trapped and you're helping me untangle it. But that equals to us being absolutely tired. And then I decided that it was going to be a smart idea to go do a 2-hour weightlift, 2 classes in a row, working out for 2 hours weightlifting. I feel like my life flashed before my eyes.
I definitely woke up at 4 and thought I was going to die.
Oh no, what?
My stomach was my bowels were so unhappy with me.
I'm so sorry. It was such a fun day though.
It was so much fun.
It was amazing. And it was we ended up, half of us ended up upgrading to business class for the train ride back. And it was fun times, guys. It was hilarious.
It was a good time.
I was talking to, I'm just chatting now at this point. It's for our listeners. Also, the other thing is this is a live. That's the other thing that people need to know about. So if you want to be a Patreon supporter for our Trophy Wives, they're getting this special video. They're only getting the video. No one else is getting the video.
No one else is getting the video.
They get to see my room right now. Although Amy, you look great. You put on lipstick. Good for you.
I just put on lipstick, yeah.
I'm still in the workout clothes. I've never had it changed. But yeah, so we were coming back from the train. It just was so funny because meanwhile, while I'm talking to like this cute British guy across from me, Amy's talking about the podcast and Romantasy to this other woman. And it was just funny where in like this little tiny compartment, tiny thing where there's only 9 of us in there.
Yeah, I was definitely listening to you the entire time. And every now and then I'd look behind. To like,
well, I would
salute.
be like, well, my best friend Amy, and then immediately whip around. Like,
whip around.
It wasn't even like my best friend Amy, hey, Amy, turn around. It was, no. I have been summoned, whoosh, like looking, turning over.
The guy between me and you, seated between us, behind me and in front of you, kept laughing at me. Because he's like, you are totally listening to her. He
was totally listening to us too.
Yeah, we all were.
It was such a small, quiet room. And like the two of us are just chatting away. And at one point I made a like comment about Coachella because this guy was like, oh, are you going to go to Coachella? Like, how come you've never been to Coachella? I'm like, we don't understand. Traffic's really good in LA. And then the guy in front of me starts laughing. And then the British guy was like, oh, see, he agrees. I'm like, no, he agrees with me. Like, it was just... And then he knew about Romantasy. He started following the podcast. So I don't know if this is like a smart or dumb thing for me to talk about this. He'll never listen.
No,
He'll never won't. Listen.
No.
And if he has...
He can message you. He does.
Yeah. Although, literally right before this, he started following me on Instagram, my personal one.
Oh.
Yeah. That's not what we're here today to talk about, though.
Nope. That has nothing to do with what our introduction said we would be doing today.
We're right now, we are in between seasons, episodes, and we just, we're like, hey, what do the people want? Yeah, summer school's almost over.
Summer school's almost over. It makes me sad.
Which is funny because we still haven't done summer book club.
I know.
Spring. Spring school is almost over.
Yeah.
And then we have to start doing homework again, but that's okay. Mm-hmm. In many ways, I am excited because I felt like, for whatever reason, the spring book club was a struggle for me to like catch up on books. I have no idea why. Winter book club, I felt like you and I were doing 2 a week, knocking them out.
Yeah.
This one, for whatever reason, was just like, shit, we got to do this one.
Yeah. It is what it is. So the people asked...
Questions.
Great. I hope so. I actually haven't looked at my phone.
Yeah, no, there were some. I mean, can I just play the video of me requesting it? Like, I haven't even watched the video of my request.
I haven't either.
Okay, I'm going to just play the audio. Tomorrow we're recording an episode on writing advice. It is Amy's birthday boozy brunch. Say hi, everyone.
You guys have so much writing advice. I can't wait to learn more.
If you'd like to ask your questions for writing episode, ask me and Amy. It was the best. That was funny. You were pretty gone at that point.
I was so far gone at that point. The entire train ride back, I was like, Emma, never let me drink again. She's like, you tell me this every time you drink too much. I'm like, but I really never want to drink wine again.
This year has been the year that we bring back partying in our lives.
My poor body.
No, we've been handling it like a champ.
I mean, I didn't wake up hungover. However, I was sober by the time I got home.
Yeah.
However...
Did Emma drive or did you drive home?
No, I drove. I was fine.
Yeah, because it's like a nice 2-hour train ride back. I was texting Amy before I started talking to the cute guy, being like, let's do this again. Let's go out. And Amy was like, never. No. Not with wine. Okay, anyway, so we asked questions. This is going to be one of those episodes. Sorry. This is the kind of episode that only like the people who like us will listen to.
Yeah, the diehards will listen. Everyone else will be like, I don't really care.
It's fascinating how many people, I don't want to say they don't like us, but are very happy to not listen to us versus like analysis. Like they come truly for the analysis.
And that's what we're here for.
Hey, yeah.
Do we make ourselves too important by assuming that they'll listen to us when we ask us anything?
Absolutely.
Or ask for a writing invite? Yeah. Writing advice? Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So I don't blame them for not listening.
You know what? I encourage it. No, I don't. Okay. So here's a great one. And a little bit insight of like Amy and I are both in the midst of our own projects. I just finished the first draft of mine. Here, Trophy Wives, you get to see this. Look at this. Look at this.
Look at that behemoth.
Look, Amy was in my car while it was being made, printing it out. So, and Amy is in the process of writing hers, and she's doing a very different process this time. So I think that's going to be very interesting to this conversation.
Yeah.
Ellie asks, genuinely, how do you start the process? Do you do planning first or research? Help.
Such a great question, because I was talking about this yesterday, I think, with both Tina and Marissa at one point. Do you want to talk about your process?
No.
Jac?
I want to hear you.
Oh.
I want to hear you.
So the project I'm currently working on, this is where writing what you know makes writing so much easier.
Mm-hmm.
So I have been world building my first novel probably close to 15 years now, a little bit more than that. And I wrote the first draft. It's never going to see the light of day because the story and the characters as they are, though I deeply love them, it's not a reflection of me anymore. And I'm not passionate about the story anymore. So I've adopted all the world building from that to write this new book that is this romantasy retelling of Pride and Prejudice. And it's sapphic. And I'm so fucking excited.
And it's trial based.
And it's like think Serpent in the Wings of Night trial. Anyway, writing what you know. Like, I know this world inside and out to the T. And anything I don't know, it's very easy to make up because I know the context of the world. And for the first time in my life, I am pantsing it.
Yeah,
I just said
fascinating.
Yeah, for the first time in my life, I've always planned previously.
Mm-hmm.
And what I think I've discovered about myself is I love the planning process. But once I'm done planning, I don't want to do anything else. So I need to take the planning out of it because I think I actually have more fun discovering the story. And then the planning can come later during the revision process.
Yeah. Okay. And then someone might be saying, okay, well, what do you do if I'm building a world and I don't know the world? And that's kind of like, for me, I started a world and I had to create it. I think becoming familiar with your own world is helpful when you start writing it. I think one of the biggest things is to just accept that you are not going to know everything about it. That is one of my biggest things as I've been writing my first draft, where all of a sudden, like at a certain point, I was like, well, there's artifacts that matter now. Shit. Now there's lore that I'm going to have to go and like put behind everything. And, oh, guess there's more than 4 kingdoms. There's 9. Let's add that. So, I think you just have a base and accept the moment you accept that you are not going to have everything done at the beginning. You let that baby bird fly. Like, you just accept that you are not going to know everything, and you can just type in a spot saying, figure it out later.
Yeah, I think that's one thing that always held me back when I was younger in the writing process, of feeling like I needed to know everything about everything.
Mm-hmm.
Of my world, of the characters, etc., instead of accepting that all writing requires revision and redrafting and redrafting and redrafting. The first draft is never going to be a good draft.
No, you just need a base.
You just need a base. It's something you said just now, Jac, gave me this idea of a metaphor. It's like how you would teach a toddler. Your first draft is teaching a toddler just the bare bones, basic of the human language, the English language or whatever language you're going to teach them. Right, exactly.
Mama hungry. Yeah.
And then as they get a little bit older, you're going to introduce a little more concept. And then as they get older, you're going to introduce more concept. That's the same thing that you're writing it. It matures the more you revise and redraft.
Yeah, I think that is a great metaphor. I mean, and that's assuming people are asking about romantasy, right? If it's like a historical fiction, maybe add a little bit of research. But the number one thing is to just truly let go of that first draft of accepting it being bad. Accept it. It's going to be bad, and it should be bad, because you're just not going to know everything that happens. And there might be some fight sequences or other moments of like, oh, I need to figure out, like, there's this ancient prophecy that I'm going to have it say, and I need it to be said in a very strategic way. Write it, figure it out. You kind of go into it. But I think that there's nothing wrong when you find out your strengths. Like, Amy loves to plan. We went to Europe for our 30th birthday year, and we spent like 6 months planning it, and that was like half the fun, was just planning it.
I think it was 80% of the fun.
Oh my God, what?
I mean, I got sick, and I'm a baby when I'm sick. So
yeah.
that dampened the enjoyment of the trip. But it was a good trip.
It was a great trip. Yeah. It was all of a sudden like, excuse me. But even though I was a part of the planning process too, it was, but I can see what you're saying about yourself where you love and enjoy planning so much that it takes away the other joy from it. So I think knowing your strengths, I can plan. I need to let room. Like I can plan, but I also need to let things go. So I'm like part pantser, part planner, where it's like I can be like A to B and then just kind of go from there. So I think find the strengths of what you're comfortable with, of what you are, and experiment. Write a chapter. One of my favorite interviews we've done was with JT Geisinger, and she has what's it called? Ruthless Creatures? No.
It was Ruthless Creatures. Good job. Good job.
Everyone take a moment. I remembered something. Anyway, so she said that she just asked herself, oh, well, what if there was an assassin next to a woman, like who moved in next to a woman to kill her? What does that look like? And then she just went from there. So I think experiment, because I think that's what happened with you, right? Where I was about to say, did I bully you or did you do it? Either I felt maybe it was your idea and then I was like forcing you to do it. I don't know. But it was just like, hey, just write it. Just see what happens.
Yeah. I was like, I have this great idea. I'm going to merge my old novel with my contemporary romance.
Yeah.
And you were like, oh my God.
Yeah.
You must write this
write
now.
It. Pants it. Just fucking do it.
Yeah.
Just go for it.
And quite frankly, I have a concept.
Yeah.
I knew what I wanted the opening scene to be. And we're just going with it. And like, I'm having so much fun discovering the characters, of seeing them in a different context than I ever would have thought for a book like this. And what I look forward to is my goal is to write the entire plot of the novel in 60,000 words or less.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because I'm going to revise anyway. I'm going to add anyway. You know, who was it yesterday? Was it Tina saying that Carissa Broadbent adds her the romance
after
in later drafts?
Yeah.
Thea Guanzon is like the talent comes in later drafts.
Yeah.
So I'm like, why hold myself back trying to be perfect if it's never going to be?
Absolutely. It's so releasing everything and accepting that it's just not going to. I had another thought, but it's floated away.
I'm sorry.
This brain, this is a great day to give advice. Is like
when we're recovering from wine.
Wine and working out. Like I can't even lift my arms. I had other advice. I'm sure the genius will come to me momentarily. Let's go to another one.
Draft 2.
Draft 2, right? Libby asks, the characters or stories that have stuck with you over the years and why? It's a great question.
It's an excellent question.
All right. I'll do one that I know is for both of us. Harry Potter.
Yeah.
And I know that there's a nostalgia factor to it. And I know that's going to, like, I'm not going to pretend like that's not a big part of it, but it was the first book series that broke my heart when characters started dying.
I will say for me, and this might also be the case for you, it is the quality of the characters that were written in fan fiction, though, that have stuck with me. It's the stories that were told in the fan fiction realm of Harry Potter that have stuck with me and I still think about more than the original.
Yeah, fan fiction does stick with you quite a bit. I don't know why I was thinking about this one. There was like a fanfic I read one time, and it was a Twilight fan fiction, and they all go on a cruise. This is AU, so they're all humans, and so all the girls are on they're on a girls trip, and then the boys are on the boys trip, and then they see each other and they match up, and then like Bella has never gotten a Brazilian, so she gets a wax, and then she stares at herself naked in a mirror and like touches like herself. It was like, it's so bare. So some things just stick with you guys, and some things just really resonate and stick with you, apparently. I think that, what other ones have really I'm like looking around.
So something that, I've talked about a lot on the podcast before is the original fan fiction that is now an original work, The Hurricane Wars, and now A Monsoon Rising. The character of Alaric in that series, both in the fan fiction one and in the original writing, they have similarities. There are differences, but they are both so tragically, beautifully tortured characters.
Yeah.
I love it.
There's a fanfic Measure of a Man, and that also resonated a lot. I think for me, it depends on where I'm at in life that resonates, that carries with me, right? So Harry Potter carried very much so with me because I was 12 when my dad died, and then, all of a sudden, not too long, Sirius Black dies, and I was like, I get this, so that stuck a lot with me. And then I have things like Measure of a Man, where it's about Hermione in her 30s who is holding out, like, who refuses to settle down with Ron because she's like waiting for someone that she wants to marry who's worth being with. And I read that after my big breakup. And then I have this other book called The Words, and it's a fantastic romance novel with a musician, and the main female character, she does lose weight, but she's a size 10, so she's mid-size, she's curvy, and she talks about still loving herself even before that and accepting what had, food had control over her and letting that go, but then also fighting through that, and then also fighting through accepting that size 10, she'll never be skinny, but she has to love herself too through that. And, granted, you have everything else with the romance that's happening too. But like, that was the thing that stuck with me. That's something that I'm working through. Books that stick with me are like dog ear, and people don't like the dog ears when you dog ear a part of like in a book, right? But they're like essentially different dog ears of my life and different parts where I'm at. Those are the ones that stick with me. So I think it's just a magical combination of you find a good book at a very certain time in your life.
Yeah, that makes sense. And something about either the craft, the themes, the way the story is told resonates with part of your soul, and you just kind of carry it with you.
Yeah, I think those are the ones that stick with me the most. I mean, then you have things like Carissa Broadbent, right? Like, you and I were talking to Tina of like, can you tell Carissa that Daughter of No World is the best book that I have ever read? Then you have things that are just like true literary masterpieces in our opinion, like Spark of the Everflame, Glow, like just so well done and everything. So, you have those other ones, but I love, for me, the ones that stick out from certain points in my life mean the most.
Yeah, I agree. And now a word from our sponsors.
Whatever the occasion, effortless elegance is right this way. Because Hilton brings you new ways to stay courtesy of the Nomad London. And it doesn't stop at award-winning dining in a space draped in velvet and illuminated by vintage chandeliers. No, this day goes beyond with unparalleled personalized service and attentive hospitality. Oh, and did we mention the Nomad London can be booked using your Hilton Honors points at Hilton.com? Hilton, for this day.
This episode is brought to you by Indeed. When your computer breaks, you don't wait for it to magically start working again. You fix the problem. So why wait to hire the people your company desperately needs? Use Indeed's sponsored jobs to hire top talent fast. And even better, you only pay for results. There's no need to wait. Speed up your hiring with a $75 sponsored job credit at Indeed.com/podcast. Terms and conditions apply.
McCrispy strips are now at McDonald's. I hope you're ready for the most dippable chicken in McDonald's history. Dip it in all the sauces. Dip it in that hot sauce in your bag. Dip it in your McFlurry. Your dip is your business. McCrispy strips at McDonald's.
At Capella University, you can learn at your own pace with our FlexPath learning format. Take 1 or 2 courses at a time and complete as many as you can in a 12-week billing session. With FlexPath, you can finish the bachelor's degree you started in 19 months and under $19,000. A different future is closer than you think with Capella University. Learn more at capella.edu. Fastest 25% of students. Cost varies by pace, transfer credits, and other factors. Fees apply.
What are some of the most overused tropes or traits that can be avoided?
That's a personal preference thing.
It is totally a personal preference thing. I personally, and I don't want to say I'm over it, it's just because I'm still going to read this. I kind of sometimes, like, I feel like there's just so many violent FMCs that I am kind of not over it, but like, I'm just like, here's another one who's super stabby, who's super everything. And that's kind of like, in my novel, in my Romantasy, my FMC, she will never be good with a knife. Like, that's kind of an ongoing joke that because she is born in this world, she is a woman from this like who grew up in this world. She doesn't have years of training. She doesn't suddenly become good with it, even though you have like these ancient warriors that are teaching her. She's just not going to be good at it, and she just doesn't like violence. And she has her own powers that she's good with, and she can use it. But I personally, when I see these like women who are able to be fully capable and fight for themselves, I love it, and I think we need that representation. But I just feel like it's just so much that I'm craving the FMC. So I'm writing the FMC that I want to see, and it's the one that's like, ooh, that's gross. I don't want to touch that. Or like, that's stabby. I don't want to stab things. Can you do that for me? Like, just a little bit more there where I can relate to that, where it's like, I don't want to break a bone. I don't break someone else's bone. That seems like a lot.
I think that's a great point. And that's, again, a personal preference thing. I enjoy books where either this is so hard because I enjoy all of it.
Yeah, same. I don't say that I'm not enjoying it. I enjoy it too. Yeah.
Right. I think it's about, does the author achieve what they set out to achieve? Mm-hmm. So I think of We Hunt the Flame and We Free the Stars by Hafsa Faisal, and her female main character, she fights out of necessity, but she's better with a bow than she is with a sword. And she doesn't like the act of killing. And then she goes through an identity crisis when she does start to enjoy the act of killing. So I think that's wonderful. I think I love Freya in A Fate Inked in Blood, who wants to be stabby, who wants to go on raids. And the second she starts like participating, she's like, oh,
I don't like it.
I don't like this. I don't want, what was I thinking?
Yeah, like this isn't what I thought it was going to be, guys. Can I just like duck out?
Yeah. But I also love Araya in Serpent in the Wings of Night and how skilled she is.
Oh, yeah.
Out of survival and necessity. So I think tropes are only overdone if the author cannot intentionally do something with that trope that is unexpected to you.
I was reading a book the other day, and I'm not going to list the book because obviously, but I was reading a book the other day, and the author was hitting the tropes. None of them were earned.
Yeah.
And it just became, and if I have to think of like, oh, this is a trope, if my mind is registering that this is a trope, I'm already out of this.
Yeah. I completely agree. It's because the author becomes over-reliant on the tropiness of it.
Yeah.
Rather than being, did we just have a one bed scene?
Yeah, exactly. Right?
But you're not conscious of it in the moment.
I mean, look at the ultimate one bed scene. The one, I don't want to say it's the one that started it all because obviously it's been around, but like the one that changed everyone's chemistry, brain chemistry, was Mist and Fury, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
The lead up to that one bed was earned, right? Like she started the book in love with Tamlin. She was going through her own journey. There's chemistry between Rhys and she's dealing with that. And now she's dealing with her own turmoil. Like even that one bed scene represented and meant so much more. It wasn't just a hot scene. It was about her finding and accepting her own sexuality and getting that separate from Tamlin. And there was a lot to process there.
And that scene couldn't have happened if she hadn't just seen Lucian, who wanted to drag her back to Tamlin. And she had that fit of rage where she transforms for the first time. Like, it is earned. It's not all like, la-ti-da-ti-da, we need to go to an inn.
Yeah.
Let's stop here for the night.
And like, oh, and then we conveniently have this moment here at this inn. Like, it meant so much more in that moment. And that was that's a one bed trope that like you can, even you're reading it, you're like, oh, it's a one bed trope. But you're here and you've accepted it and it makes sense why it's there.
Exactly.
Yeah. I'm trying to think, are there any other ones that you kind of, whenever you see them, again, it's like if I see them and I don't feel like it's earned, I'm over it. But if it's earned, give me that who hurt you.
The one trope I cannot accept.
Yeah.
Even if it's earned, quote unquote, though I will always argue it's never earned. Surprise pregnancy. I can't. I just can't.
A lot of people can't. I kind of like it. Fuck shit up.
I have yet to find one. I believe there is a story out there where I'll be like, yes, that needed to happen.
Yeah.
I have yet to read it.
Think yes. I'll write it. I'll work on it. Not on this book. She doesn't get pregnant in this one. So, spoiler.
Yeah. I think it's because it's so counterintuitive to so many of the themes that we read.
Interesting you say that.
Not because you can't be an empowered female and then get pregnant. Like, of course, empowered women get pregnant. Of course, empowered women have children. We just read about women in so many dangerous situations. And me personally, I don't feel like I could bring a child into this world. How could these women bring children into their world? You know, it's a personal thing.
Yeah. And that's fair. I definitely, whenever, if it's like Farrah, I think that book, I think she could have gotten pregnant 10 years after, 5 years after. And I understand why her psychology might have been, she just wants that family and she's going, you know, she just wants to create her own family. I get that. But it is hard when you have an FMC who many times started with nothing, whether it's like no family, no love, no fortune. They're lacking something. I just want them to be happy and have it for a little while. And it also is hard when the characters are so young. Because she's like 20 and 21, if that. And I'm just like, girl, you haven't even lived. You haven't even, and not that there can't be strong 20-year-olds who are having kids, but like, you're still a child yourself. You have not had a chance to explore, and now you're bonded with a mate, and that in many ways limits your own exploration of self. That's also hard because, you know, I don't want people to feel that just because you get married young, you can't explore things. I think if you get married young, and I applaud people who got married young or in a relationship while young and are with them for a long time, to be able to work to explore your own life and your own interests. Because it is work. Like when you're with someone, you have to really fight to find your independence with that.
Right. This takes me to a trope that I think is overused, that I have a really hard time with, but I think has an easy fix.
Okay.
Easy fix. The 500-year-old man with the 19 or 20-year-old.
Yeah.
You know, we have variations of that. If he's in the hundreds and she's in her 20s, it's problematic. I get why it's hot. This older man reveres the younger woman. Will lay down his life for the younger woman, will let her trample over his body and soul. It's hot.
Yeah.
Totally get it.
Yeah.
But if they're going to have a big ass age gap anyway, make her 35.
That is, I get it. Like, just make her an adult. Have her frontal lobe developed.
Let her have lived some life and have some experience and know what she wants.
And maybe that makes it harder to write because now you need to think through of like, well, I need her to make stupid choices, but maybe, you know, someone who's lived a little bit more won't make a stupid choice. All right, then work harder as an author. Come up with you know, challenge yourself with it. But it's interesting because the hot British guy that I was talking to on the train, he was asking me because he had heard about Romantasy, which immediately I was like, oh, what woman taught you that? My way of being like, are you single? Anyway, but he was just saying one of the topics that he's heard of is how oftentimes the way that relationships are represented could almost be considered regressive to what women have, quote unquote, like fought for to be this time. And I've heard that too. This like, I just want a man to take care of me. Like, you know, I just want to be this pretty princess. You know, other than Tamlin being abusive, I think I thrive. I finally discovered Claritin. I'm good, guys. I can go to the spring court after he's doing a lot of therapy. But you know, like, and that was a good point. And I think when we do things where it's a 500-year-old man and a 19-year-old girl, you are perpetuating this toxic environment where if you got a 30-year-old man with a 19-year-old girl, I am red flag central. I don't think that's okay. But what we want there is this sense of security, this sense of man who is, what is oftentimes age in these books represent is a character who is settled in many ways, who is secure, and then him finding, and then her being able to find peace and home within that man as well. So I agree where it's like, I do want my FMCs a little older or age the guy down. So one of the things I've done with my book, and it's not a plot twist because you discover it in like the first several chapters, my MMC is 100 and my FMC is 25 or is like 23 or something like that. And he is 125, but he was put in like a sleep stasis for 100 of those years.
So mentally he's 25.
And physically, because you're like powers don't come in until you're 30.
That's right.
So he's kind of like, so he's also wakes up and he's like, what the fuck? I'm 125? Where are my powers? What the hell? And so like mentally, physically, but he's also technically 125 too. So it's like, that's like my workaround, but it is hard. That's one that I'm clocking more and more of just how young and how old the guys are. And I really would like to see more mature heroines. And I think you can still find complex issues and mistakes. Just challenge yourself as a writer to find that.
Yeah, I mean, don't get me wrong. I think there's a place for immaturity and toxic relationships that are but then we see progress, right? Because that all characters are going to need some sort of journey. They're going to need to overcome some sort of conflict. So becoming more mature, overcoming the toxic relationship or the trauma, those are still worthwhile stories that we should be telling.
Yeah.
But they don't have to be the only stories we tell.
Yes.
We need to have more representation of what it means to be comfortable inside your body.
Yep.
And knowing who you are, knowing what you want, and pursuing those things at all ages of life.
Yeah. Agreed. Before I read the next one, I think this is a great teaser for Throne of Glass. What we're going into is
for Crown of Midnight.
Yeah. In general, like the series.
Okay.
When the FMC loses her powers to save everyone. SJM's done that twice with her heroines. That is borderline unforgivable for me. It's going to be hard when we get to the end of Throne of Glass analysis and having to deal with that and knowing that I fundamentally disagree with it. You've created this incredible young woman, go through so much, and in order to save everyone, she sacrifices her power.
In what ways
and
is
Nesta
that?
Also, I
yeah,
think of that.
it's almost, to me, analogous to motherhood.
Yeah.
Which does require a ton of sacrifice, and not everyone is ready to make that sacrifice. But this is a made-up world. Why do we have to do that?
You don't have to. And meanwhile, these men who are 500 years older than these young girls get to keep their fucking power.
Yeah. Make the man lose his power.
Huh?
Somebody needs to write a book where the man sacrifices his power.
I'll think about it. You know what?
Why not?
I've heard it. It actually works for one of my characters. It actually works really well for one of my characters. So I really enjoyed that. I think I'm going to, actually, you just majorly solved an issue that I had.
Nice.
A huge issue that I had.
This is also the writing process. It's opportunistic.
Yeah. Yeah. No, there was like, cause I know how I want the series to end and I know how I want who's in charge of what. And it just didn't make sense for one of these characters to not fight because they don't end up with how they're going to end up. And I'm like, well, it would never make sense for them to give up. To like give that power, like to not be in power. But it does if they sacrificed things, which I could get them to that point, it would make sense. Oh, thank you. May people come back to this when the final book is out and they're like, oh, I see what you did there. That was the moment. Okay, here's another one. This is easy. What are your writing snacks?
I don't think that's easy.
I don't eat while I'm writing. I eat, guys.
It depends on the time of day. It depends on the day of the week.
I think it distracts me.
Yeah, I think it. Yeah.
Yeah.
For me, my fingers get dirty, and then my keyboard gets dirty, and then I get mad that my keyboard has oily fingerprints on it.
I'll be like, okay, this bite was big, this bite was small, I have something stuck in my tooth, now I need water, okay, now I need more water. A whole thing, yes.
I think the more accurate question is, what are the 4 beverages at your table while you're
there? It is
you're writing.
It is a law of what is it, like the not law of physics, but there's like certain laws that have, like we have the law of gravity, we have
it's the law of womanhood.
Yeah, for every action there is an equal and opposite reaction.
Yeah, it's a Newton law.
Yeah, right. And then we have this one, which a woman will always have 3 drinks: her water drink, her caffeine drink, and her fun drink.
Yeah. At a minimum.
That is what I need while writing. I want my water, I want my fun, and I want my caffeine.
Yep.
And then if you throw in an alcohol, great. But that is that's just my joy. I think I think so too. I'm sad I only have water with me right now.
I know. I went and got a kombucha and then I realized it was old. I'd already opened it.
No.
So it was flat. I was like,
I'm sorry.
Water only.
They wrote it in their note and then took a photo of it and then
Oh.
put it in the submission. So it's a little longer. Kind of specific. When the main narration is simple past and you go back in time and you go into past perfect, had territory, i.e., she had seen him, she had had her coffee, etc. When narrating a scene in the past, you start with had to differentiate from simple present. Do you stick to had or switch back into simple present, despite still narrating the past situation? I used to think everything has to be past perfect, but it can feel clunky and annoying to read and write had a million times. Recently, I read a couple of books that switch to simple present when narrating a past scene that carries on for a longer while. Curious about your take. Hope it's clear enough. I'll let Amy start with that.
Yeah, I mean, I don't have the technical, grammatically correct answer.
Yeah.
My first thought was if you are weighing down your writing with had and all the
Yeah.
necessary things to convey tense or to convey where in the timeline this is, then either you need to get creative with your sentence structures or you need to get creative with how you're portraying the past so that you don't weigh it down like that, because it will get annoying. You know, if it's for a couple sentences in a paragraph, that, you know, that makes sense.
Yeah.
But if it's for an entire scene or, you know, a larger chunk of writing, I would make it italicized so we know we're in the past, or give it in the past sort of byline or whatever the case is.
Dictate what time is the past, right? So if you're narrating and you're saying Samantha woke up and decided to go to the kitchen for a cup of coffee, and then you have her, you want to say something that's even more past from then.
Samantha had a cup of coffee before she went to work that day.
Or it'd be like, that's what getting creative would be like. Like I was thinking about like the previous Monday, Sarah had,
yeah,
you know, like, so timestamp it. So if it's like before work, you know, so if, like my present, which is past of like her entering the kitchen. So Samantha woke up and got her and had coffee in the morning that day before work, and you're trying to reflect like but the previous day she had tea. So you could be like the day before she
had a matcha latte.
Although the matcha latte the day before had brought her more joy.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it's really about finding creative structural changes.
Yeah. I'm
because...
also... Go ahead. Sorry.
No, go ahead.
I think this listener has sent me another question before and talking about what if I've gotten this wrong, I am so sorry. But I want to say they asked another question before because I don't think English is her first language. And she said but she wants to write a book in English. So and there's like some points that she was just trying to like, what do I do? And I'm like, I am oddly qualified for this with my master's degree. Like, this is exactly what we talked about. So I think that it sounds like that's the kind of question that someone who has learned English would ask, because I don't think like this is one of those things that we just don't think about. And it's the same way that like when I try to speak in Spanish, where I'm like, I don't know what I'm doing here. And it's like, I don't I'm like, this doesn't make sense. Like what you're trying to explain to me. And the answer sometimes like, well, you just kind of know. And I'm like, well, Maria Jose, I don't know. I don't know what it is. She's like, well, you just kind of know. I'm like, I don't. Teach me.
I totally get it. I feel that way with Chinese all the time. There's nothing wrong with asking these questions. I think I am ill-equipped to answer.
Yeah, I'm just not good at it. And so my answer is find a creative workaround so that you don't have to say it, depending on the context of it, or go good old-fashioned italicized.
Even if you are a native English speaker, but you've learned proper grammar over the years and you're thinking this way, like, I think my answer would still be the same, because ultimately this listener said it in their question, it gets clunky.
Yeah.
It's not enjoyable to read.
No. So these are kind of combined comments, tools to share writing and get edits from others. Fuck Google Docs for training AI on it. Any tools to keep track of characters and world building, I use Campfire, but other options. All right, so we got two.
I mean, you and I have talked before about using Scrivener.
But there's that other one. Let me pull it up. I have an app that I now use, Artable. or Airtable,
Oh,
airtable.com. Audible.
Airtable.
I know. What are you laughing at Airtable?
No. I love Airtable. I'm just laughing at the
Artible. It was because I'm like, there has to be art involved. So why is there Airtable involved? But yeah, it's Airtable and it's meant for other organizational things, but there's actually a template for writing.
Mm-hmm.
And I love it. That helped me significantly. I will say when it comes to my revision process, I think I'm going to need like an actual binder, like physical binder that I need to write out. I'm going to need like a page that I can look at and reference. And one of the things that I have discovered is a lot of writers actually print and write things, and it's not all digital.
Your brain works different when you handwrite things versus when you type things. And I used to only write my stories handwritten because I was more creative.
Yeah.
Because my mind had to go slower to handwrite.
And now you found that through typing it on your phone.
Now I found it through texting on my phone rather than typing on the computer. So try different modes and mediums.
Yeah.
First of all, when you get to any part of the writing process. I would also say what I like about Scrivener, it does have some really cool tools that if you learn how to use them, they're very helpful. There's a metadata tool that you can use to, like, for example, if you're leaving breadcrumbs on a certain topic, you can create a check mark so that every scene that you write, you can check mark or uncheck the mark to indicate to yourself if you've left a breadcrumb on that topic.
Oh, wow.
And then you can generate a report so you can see it.
Nice.
Yeah, so there are ways to be creative, but you can also do that with Airtable.
It depends on what part you're at you're writing, right? So sometimes, like when I'm just trying to get my characters out in the initial parts, I'm just writing them out, like putting them on Airtable. As I'm about to reread and take notes, I'm going to have to physically write down everything because I can't hop back and forth from different tabs. I want it in one spot. That's the thing is, like, a lot of these Scriveners, Airtable, you have a tab on one character and you have all these, great detail about them. I can't do a tab. I need like a page to look at it because something about hopping from one tab to another, I can't do. So at a certain point in my writing, and I've now reached that point in my writing where it's like, okay, now I need to write it down. So I have a big binder, I have a bunch of paper. So once I do my initial read through, I'll have to go through it and just start like jotting down who are my characters. Because this is going to be shocking to a lot of people. I struggle remembering the character names that I write.
Art imitates life.
I am so consistent. My FMC, her name's Kat. I don't have to remember shit. That is fine. That is an easy one for me. But every once in a while, there'll be like a slightly more interesting one. Or if it's like, shit, who is that guard I introduced? Jared? Was it Jared? Like, there's one character, as I was typing it, I knew it wasn't I never wrote his name the right way because I just kept hopping back from what I thought it was. But I know who I'm talking about.
That's too funny.
So it's like the smaller characters that I tend to forget quite a bit. So so the names are my struggle.
Hilarious.
I'm universal. I treat everyone the same. Oh, and as for sharing stories and sharing writing, tools to share writing. Oh, so we do use Google Docs. Amongst my friends, we've always used Google Docs when they share their books to me.
Yeah, so how do you want to explain that? What that means?
Yeah, so sometimes an author, if we're doing some beta reading, we get a custom Google Doc for us that we get to go in and add notes to. So
right, and it's just you. The other beta readers have their own Google Doc.
So whether you want it on, and I know that they enjoy Google Docs because they can go in and kind of like check mark it off, and it's just easy because everyone has it. If it is something that you don't want to use because AI is pulling from it, yeah, that's a good question. I don't know. I hadn't thought about it. I'm not at that point in my writing yet. So I am now concerned. I'll let future me handle it, and then I'll let future me answer you.
So I personally have invested in an annual subscription to Microsoft 360 because sharing documents through your OneDrive that way is actually more secure.
Is AI using to learn from it though?
I don't think so, but I will double check.
Yeah. Everything at this point is like AI is just using everything against our will at this with everything. It's annoying.
Yeah, I'll have to double check. I mean, there are going to be other things like I have a Proton Mail account because it is more it purposefully doesn't have all of that stuff.
Yeah.
And they have their own version of Google Docs. If I really needed to, I would use that. But it is hard sharing across, there's a reason why I never let people read my writing because I was always super protective of my writing, didn't want other people to steal it.
Yeah, yeah.
But we also have friends who look for beta readers on Reddit and who contact people on forums, on Discord.
Mm-hmm.
It's about your comfort level.
Yeah, absolutely. So the moral of the story, guys, is plug away. Just get that first one done. Oh, one of my favorite advice, and it came from Kate Golden, was don't read the chapters you just wrote.
Yeah, because you're going to constantly want to go back and revise things.
Yeah, maybe I'll personally read like the last paragraph because I'm like, I don't remember what and like I limit myself to a paragraph. I think that was some of the best advice that I use because it also, I get so caught up in like just wanting to read what I wrote also and the edits and the revisions, but you get into this vicious cycle. So there's that. And then other authors, Amber V. Nicole. Amber heard someone else. Amber V. Nicole, she was talking about in one of her panels that she writes different scenes at different points. If there's a scene that she's excited to get to, she'll write that first. Like she actually hops around.
Yeah.
And she kind of pantses. It's a very fascinating process. So find what works best for you. There is no one answer. So just keep experimenting.
My first draft of my novel, when I started in my 20s, my first fantasy novel, I did the same thing. I was just like, I was really passionate about these scenes, so I'm going to write them. So I had like 200 pages of writing, but none of the scenes were connected. Didn't work out for me.
Yeah. Keep trying, keep experimenting, and just finish it. It will not be perfect. Embrace that.
Yeah.
Thank you for listening to this week's episode of Book Talk for Book Talk with Jac and Amy. We encourage you to rate and subscribe to our show on your preferred podcast listening platform. Stay tuned for next week's episode where we will be discussing our listeners' thoughts about Crown of Midnight, all things SJM, and more.
We would love to hear your thoughts based on today's conversation. If you would like to submit your thoughts for next week's episode, please be sure to follow us on Instagram where we ask for listener submissions.
If you're enjoying the podcast, please visit our website, booktalkforbooktalk.com, to view our latest merch and learn about supporting the show through Patreon or Venmo. You can also follow us on TikTok, Instagram, or YouTube at the handle Book Talk for Book Talk. Bye.
Bye.